side of the camera long enough to say hello. It's great to see you.
It's a blessing.
Are we on? Oh, good morning, everyone. Is this on now? It's such a pleasure to be here live, to have this small group of us together, knowing that things are getting back to normal, to a state of happiness. And so as we begin this ceremony, I'd just like to invite you to close your eyes for a moment and know with me the truth that this is a universe filled with joy, filled with life, that there is only one thing. That thing is God itself. That each of us is a beautiful individualization of God or spirit, and that we live our lives surrounded, supported, and inspired by the thing itself. Knowing this is true, I know that everyone who is connected with this center in any way, all our friends, all our family, all the people we know, and all the people we haven't met yet, are blessed and prospered. I know there is good for us, and this celebration today is evidence of the joy and good that life holds. Knowing this, I give thanks. I turn it over to Spirit, knowing it is already done, and I let the celebration begin with joy and thanksgiving. And so it is.
And so it is.
Oh, good morning, everybody, on this beautiful day and these beautiful smiles. It's just, everything's beautiful. Our centering song today is going to be Amazing Grace with a little twist.
It is now. All right, good morning, good morning. It's so nice to see faces out there. It was nice looking at iPhones, but no, nothing replaces people in person. I'll tell you, I just miss every one of you. So let's give a big hand for Odey, who is our musician this morning. And for people who may not know who I am, I'm Reverend Ron, and I am your presider this morning. And so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go into our announcements, and we do have some announcements, yeah. So we here believe in the power of mental healing. And over the past 16 months, while we have been closed, our practitioners and our ministers, they operated as a prayer team. And I want to make sure that each of you know that affirmative prayer treatment is still available to you at no charge. All you have to do is email us, call us, or you can text the center. You know, with your name, the specific request that you have, and if you want someone to contact you, this way here we'll be able to get back with you. So, and for the first time being, we will keep. Oh, we're going to be posting the guided meditations. They're going to be on Facebook Live. They're going to be on Saturday at 10 a.m. So you can tune in for that. And of course, we're also planning the live stream, as you can see, the phones over here and the iPad. So, for our Sunday services on Facebook at 10 a.m. And our Carlsbad Spiritual Living Facebook page is now public. And being public, you don't have to be a member actually to get on. Anyone can have access to this. The thing you have to remember is just click on Not Now when the Facebook tries to sign you in, because it'll just take you right into the page. And I would also like to take this time to thank everyone who helped us this morning. We had Larry who helped us this morning, doing a little bit of setup. We had Angel, who I met here at, 8:45 in the morning to, yeah.
Yes.
Appreciate it, Angel. Thank you so much. We had Jan, and we also had, Jan back there, and we also had Reverend Dr. Ahmondra. She is helping us so much this morning. So it is really great to be here, and what I'm going to do now is move into our candle lighting. So what I'd like to do, can everybody hear me? Okay.
Yes.
I kind of feel like I'm
Yeah, we are.
I'd like to have Larry come up. He's going to light our candles this morning. So please join me in honoring the unifying nature of spiritual life and experiences as we light the flames of faith, acknowledging all people, all faiths, symbolized by these 6 candles. We light the candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. And we light the candle for Buddhism, honoring the path of compassion. And we light the candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. And we light the candle for Islam, honoring it as a path of peace and reconciliation. In lighting these candles, we are seeking to remind ourselves that the universal creative spirit, which we call God, the amazing thing itself, is all-encompassing. And finally, what I'd like you to do, if you wish, go ahead and close your eyes as I invite you just to take a deep breath. Relax and just take a moment to recognize the light within that is always shining as we honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, of oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. we recognize underlying truths that each of us, each human being, is a creation of God, made of God's substance, a unique, individualized incarnation of spirit. There is a divine wholeness, a total interconnectedness at the source. We are one with life, one with the light of spirit. Thank you. If you wish, you go ahead and open your eyes.
Can you close the microphone and actually?
A little closer?
Yeah, a little bit more.
Okay. So, and now I'm going to have Reverend Dr. Ahmondra come up. She's going to do our inspirational reading this morning.
Smile, come on now.
Good
morning, church.
Good morning.
I know you've been waiting to say that for a whole year. I said to the Facebook, when I'm doing Facebook Live, and I can hear you, even though I couldn't see you for this past year. It's so great to be back physically. And this morning, the reading is called Waking Up to a New Reality. And it's from our Science of Mind magazine, the month of April. Over the past months, as I was sitting in my coronavirus sheltered world, I began to wonder from a higher spiritual perspective what this pandemic was all about. Something was happening on a macrocosmic level, which we usually only encounter on a micro level in our own lives. When we start getting off track in our personal lives, perhaps not living from the highest and the best values within us, everything goes wrong, and we suffer the consequences. So I began to ask myself how we, as a human race, have been doing on this planet. What have our priorities been, particularly in the United States? How sincerely have we been interested in loving our neighbors as ourselves? What do we consider the most important things in life? What do we place as significant above all else? How has that affected our choices? Could it be that we have not been the greatest stewards of this planet and of its assets? Perhaps we have not cared enough about each other. Perhaps we have managed to ignore and not be too concerned about others in our own city or on the other side of the planet who don't have enough food to eat or a roof over their heads. It amazes me now that this virus played no favorites. What happens on one side of the world also happens on the other side. Who knew? Maybe there is only one life after all. We are left with the great question of life. When this is over, will we go back to living the same way? Or will we wake up to a greater truth about who we are as a people on planet Earth? I leave you with that question and this affirmation. Today is a new day, and I choose to wake up to a new reality. And guess what? You get to design that new reality. I add a blessing to each one of you. Thank you.
Well, this is, to me, a walk on water kind of day. A walk on water, a walk on water, a walk on water. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day, 'cause I got a mountain moving kind of play. I know a miracle my fortune supplies all my needs. Anything is possible when you believe. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day. 'Cause I got a mountain moving kind of faith. I know a miracle is on its way. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day. Yeah. Well, I'm gonna miss what each day can be. How God can work a wonder with a little mustard seed. The water might be stormy and the mountain is wide, but He will get us safe into the other side. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day. 'Cause I got a mountain moving kind of faith. I know that possibilities and miracles on their way. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day. In every situation, I follow His lead. Just like Peter stepping out onto the sea. And it's a walk on water kind of day. Yeah. I got a mountain moving kind of faith. I know that miracles are on their way. Yeah. Gonna be a walk on water kind of day. I know that miracles are on their way. Yeah. Walk on water. 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 Walk on water kind of day. Yeah.
It is time. Before I do this, Ruth Ann, stand up. I think these flowers are really beautiful, and I don't think I recognize these. And now it is my pleasure to introduce Reverend Kate for this morning's talk. Yeah. Come on right up.
There. Can you hear me?
Yes.
It's been a while. I forgot I needed to have my microphone in my chair so I could have it ready to go when Reverend Ron called me up. And it is wonderful to be here. We really had fun remembering all the things that we used to do a whole year and a half ago. And it is nice to know that things are getting back to some wonderful semblance of the way we like them to be, right? The way we want them to be. And it's just great. For those who maybe are watching us on Facebook, special hello to you, or later on YouTube. And if you hear banging in the background, we've got all the doors and windows opened here, and someone's doing a little remodeling out in the neighborhood. So just like life, stuff happens, and that doesn't affect what we know about ourselves. And that is that over the past 16 months, during this whole time that we've been shut down, our first thoughts were for everyone to stay safe and healthy. So that's why we closed. We closed without any hesitation. And now that we're open, we still want everyone to be safe and cheerful. And so it's fine if you want to watch from Facebook or online, or if you want to wear a mask in the hall. Everything's good. I just want us to have that welcome home experience, because that's what it feels like to me, being back home. I feel really grateful for all of you, and I also feel really grateful for the divine intelligence in operation that has allowed us to understand how to chart our path through these troubled waters. Thanks for the song, Walking on Water. That was so perfect. and has allowed us to return to the place of knowing the reality together that it's peace, love, health, prosperity, and happiness that really, really are our path through life. And that path towards our good that we really are all on together is what inspired me to talk about blue sky thinking today, because there's always this question: how will we get from here to there? How will we move through challenging and frustrating conditions to experiencing more agreeable conditions? That's the real question. And it's still a question for us, especially when the rest of the world is still struggling through this pandemic, even more than we are. So just last week, I was talking to someone who really has had a hard time lately. He's getting over a very rough relationship, grieving for the friend who recently passed away. He's unemployed, he's in debt, and he told me that even though he knew he should be working on getting things squared around, he just couldn't seem to stop thinking about how things had gone wrong, what had caused it. He just couldn't focus on what to do next. And then a few days later, I spoke to another friend who said that she had been working so frantically at her job for so long that even now, even though the tension at work had let up, she still felt completely unable to relax because she was still so wound up about it all. Now, most of us, as students of New Thought, believe there really is a power for good. You might even think of it as life or as love being in expression as life. And we also know that it is the only power, the only thing. There simply is not a power of evil. Although plenty of stuff we don't like happens, like illness, poverty, violence, catastrophes. We don't like this. But while some insurance companies actually say a loss caused by a hurricane is an act of God, we know it's not true. We know that there is simply no creature named God out there deciding where hurricanes or even where viruses will strike next. There isn't even a formless creative energy that's deciding where the next catastrophe will take place. So, God, as universal spirit, didn't make a decision that everyone in this room would be coming here today. Universal spirit didn't decide that one particular man would lose his job, or that a certain woman would feel so stressed by her work. There's simply not that kind of predestination going on. Universal spirit or God is not going to decide what you're going to have for dinner tonight. So who will? You will, of course. But who are you? Well, here's the key to what's going on. You are universal spirit individualized. It's not a supernatural thing. It's totally natural. Universal spirit, or God, the thing itself, is already all-knowing. It's already unlimited. It doesn't need to make decisions. It's already unlimited in theory, at least, so all things are possible everywhere, all at once, and forever. However unlimited universal creative spirit may be, you And I often feel limited, right? So think about it this way, just for a moment. Just picture in your mind a very bright light streaming through a window. And in that window, there's a prism hanging in the window, a beautiful crystal or piece of cut glass. What happens to the light when it hits the prism? Suddenly, it's transformed into a beautiful, sprinkling, sparkling of individual colors of light all over the room. So my point is that it's the limitation of the light, as the light is forced through a crystal, that we are able to see that actually there's an expansion of light taking place as we can see it expanding and scattering out into this rainbow of colors. The original light didn't make a decision about what the sparkles were going to use or make as their pattern on the wall. That was completely determined by the way in which the prism was cut, whether it was dusty, whether it had chips on it, whether it was partly blocked by the curtain, or even whether it was a cloudy day or a sunny day, blocking the light in some way. So obviously, you've probably figured out when I talk about imaginary prism, it represents you and me, people. And the light represents that power of life, that universal creative spirit. And then the colors in the imaginary room represent your thoughts and your experiences unfolding as your life. But of course, in reality, it's not quite as simple as that idea, because it's not just one prism in one room. There are 330 million people just in the United States alone. And I looked it up. There's over 130 million cats and dogs in the United States alone. And think about what's in the oceans and all the other continents of the world and countries of the world. And there's a lot of living going on, right? A lot of sparkling light and a lot of diffusion of energy. And yet, thinking about that, even though sometimes we may actually feel like we're not that important, or just nothing more important than maybe a drop of water, an insignificant drop of water in the ocean of life, we each have, every single one of us, we each have an amazing power, the power to tap into the one mind, the universal creative spirit, and to make actual decisions and choices. Imagine if a little prism could decide what kind of colors it was going to display, or if it could decide to jump down from the window and go over to a different window with a different light, or maybe go hang out with some other little prisms and create a special little light show. Imagine if it could reshape itself completely and repeatedly over time. That's more like our real situation in life. You have that power of decision, don't you? The power to think independently, the power of conscious choice. That's what makes us free. No matter what is going on around us. When we recognize that we have this, when we know who we really are, and that is when we know that the spirit in humans is actually the infinite spirit in expression through us. Okay, so that's nice, but then why did the young man I spoke to end up unemployed, in debt, with broken relationships, and feeling stuck? Why did my friend end up frazzled and tense from work and feeling stuck? Why are there so many things going on definitely in my life, possibly in your life, in which I feel stuck. You know, if spirit is so perfect and you and I are spirit individualized and we have the power of decision, why did so many people get sick with COVID? Everything is true, but we have to face that, as difficult as it may be for us, we have to let go of our feelings to a certain degree about what happened in the past. It's yesterday's news, and we can't allow ourselves to get so stuck in yesterday's news, and it could be good news or bad news. We can't let ourselves get so stuck there that we aren't able to make new decisions and chart a new course and take action in the now. I mean, we live in the now. I'm not saying forget the past. I'm saying don't get stuck in the past. It's as if we were walking through life with a shadow between us and the light. Like a cloudy day when you were hoping for sunshine. How are you going to feel the sun when it's cloudy out there or in here, in our own minds? So when I am feeling bogged down, sometimes that happens, right? And I need to get my thinking cleared up, I like to pick up The Power of Decision by Raymond Charles Barker. And I know, Conrad and Pat, you told me that you got to hear him speak, which I would have loved. But his book is great. I love the book. And it's very straightforward and helpful. And I find it's helpful in reminding me that there is always new and better waiting to be in expression. So I'm going to read a passage from him that really helped cheer me up, and I've read it many times. He writes, "The infinite in its creative process is always exciting. To be a participant in the process of the infinite becoming variety on the plane of the finite is glorious. It is your true state. It is your normal state. It is you at your greatest and best. It is you when you are creatively happy. Your greatest hunger is for new ideas. These new ideas that you want, need, and must have are already in your mind. Declare they are there and watch them happen in you. Grasp them. Use them and rejoice in them, then act upon them. Do something different, say something different, become a different person, try different restaurants, change your favorite store, walk down some new streets, watch for interesting things, marvel at a few things for a change. All of this is possible, and you can do it. Old ideas that we hang on to will create old conditions. It's new ideas that create new conditions. Old ideas slow us down. It's like putting a gradual brake on your mentality. Watch your mind as carefully as you watch your checkbook. You know how much money you have in the account, but do you know what ideas are directing your consciousness? That's far more important. A forward-moving consciousness is life. Stagnating in old concepts causes your consciousness to actually create problems. Problems are to the mind what pain is to the body. They are just warning symbols. They are just different indications that something creative must be done to the mind. Wise people know this, and start reversing their thinking when the problem appears. They seek a new idea to solve it, not an old idea. The solution of any difficulty is as near to you as your next thought. All of the ideas of infinite mind, all of them await your claim upon them. This is a truth of greatest importance. There's not something physical that needs to be done. It's a new idea that needs to be thought, because all action is dependent on thought. As a thinker, you think thoughts, and then you have the key for controlling all the action that takes place within you and around you. So I love Barker's writing. I know it was a little long, but to me, he is so clear. He makes it seem simple. But then when I put the book down, I naturally think to myself, oh, good idea, but now what? How? How are we going to start following this plan of changing our experience of life by taking a new thought? How can we pick ourselves up out of the doldrums? What help is there? I mean, when a person feels sad or overwhelmed, I find I am, and a lot of people are feeling stuck in the muck. So I want to give you some ideas that maybe can help us all get unstuck and get going again. And the first one, we say this all the time, but it's probably the place to start, is with a gratitude list. And it doesn't even matter if you use a paper and pencil or you just start thinking about things you're grateful for. That is number one. When you start naming off or writing down things you're grateful for, even if it's, well, I'm grateful I'm still alive, I'm grateful I can breathe, grateful I can see, grateful I can walk, grateful I have water to drink. If you keep this up for a few minutes, I absolutely guarantee what will happen is that you will get just a little bit less stuck. That problem will just become more in perspective. It just shrinks. It's true. If you've tried it, you know it's true. But we have to remember to do it, and that's the first step. The second thing, just relax. Look at whatever is bothering you as nothing more than a wrong way sign. Is it time to turn around and find a new path? I know when I was a teenager, I actually did start up the wrong way on the freeway. Off ramp instead of the on ramp. Yes, you can imagine my mother yelling at me, right? But I stopped and I turned around and everything was fine. Sometimes if you're paying attention, problems have obvious solutions. Turn around, get out of there. Maybe the concerns that you're feeling can actually be a guide right there. Reverend Ron gave a talk on this subject on Father's Day called Push by Pain, and you can watch it online if you're interested. The fact is nobody wants to learn by suffering, but when it happens, we might as well make good use of it. And sometimes it's not that simple. Which brings me to the third idea. And this is really what I was thinking about with this talk today. Make a blue sky list. A blue sky list is more than a bucket list. It's not just a list of things you don't want to miss out on. And it's more than a list of goals. It's not things you have to do or ought to do. A blue sky list is a list of possibilities, of maybes, of things you might like, of things you might be interested in, of activities, traveling, jobs, occupations, hobbies, big ideas, little ideas. Anything positive and interesting and appealing that just springs into your mind. anything that strikes your fancy. Don't screen it, don't put limits on it. You don't have to do it all. It's not a obligation list. It's a way to begin learning about yourself and becoming aware of things that you might like. It makes it easier for you to get new ideas when you begin a practice like making a blue sky list. Just pretend that your mind is like that crystal and let the light just sprinkle ideas recklessly onto your page. Because when you engage in blue sky thinking, you're shifting the mental gears of your consciousness into possibility thinking. And when you finally get that list going, you're going to learn a lot about yourself, your interests, which helps you make new decisions about what you do want to experience, how you do want to feel. It's a way to learn through a happier type of self-discovery than through suffering. And of course, the fourth idea we always recommend is to use spiritual practices, daily spiritual practices. Reverend Dr. Ahmondra brought out her Science Mind magazine. It's there for you every day. Use affirmations, meditation, prayer treatment, and make positive declarations based on your new decisions so you can begin to accept that these new ideas are real ideas. Which brings me back to the very beginning, gratitude. This time, though, I want you to use your feeling of gratitude as a way to reinforce your acceptance of these good ideas, these new thoughts. By declaring your gratitude for the good now unfolding for you, allow it to happen. Practice non-resistance to good. Because the truth is that the new thought, your new good, your happiness, your joyful expression is already being inspired by the light of love. It's already waiting for you right now. Name it, claim it, and you will see the clouds of doubt fade away today. And so it is. Thank you.
I feel even happier than when I first walked in. And blue sky thinking, I like that. I like to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative. So I give you a hint what I'm going to sing. Accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. You gotta spread joy up to the maximum and bring that blue way down to the minimum. Have faith, or pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, remember Noah in the ark? What do they do just when everything looks so dark? And they said, we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative, and don't you mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. Positive, 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 positive. the goodbye. Ooh, yeah. You got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative, and don't mess with Mr. In Between. You gotta spread joy up to the maximum and bring all that gloom way down, down, down to the minimum. Have faith, our pandemonium is liable to walk upon the scene. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale and Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything looked so dark? Then they said, we better accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on tight to the affirmative, and don't you mess with Mr. In Between. No, don't mess with Mr. In Between. Don't even think about it.
Okay, it's been a while since we asked for money, and I remember how to do it though. Because after all, we teach that there is a law of circulation in action, and that as we give, it's just part of the ultimate expression of life, because we're also receiving. And I love this center, and I love to give to it, and I know that some of you here share that feeling. So let's just know together that there is enough, there has been enough for this center, there will be enough for this center, and there is good for this center right now. This center is an idea in the mind of spirit itself, which grows and flourishes and grows even stronger roots and even stronger branches. It is formed on the idea that there is good for us and that we can come together in community and rejoice together and strengthen that good together. And so knowing this, I give wholeheartedly to this center, and I welcome the gifts of others to the center, and I know that good in the form of prosperity, in the form of money, comes to the center, fulfilling all its needs in allowing a wonderful new growth and blossoming. I know this is the truth. I give thanks. This is so, and I know that Spirit always says yes, and so it is. So it is. So I think Jan is going to just, if we didn't really pass out little envelopes, but if you want to give Jan your envelope now, or if you want to put something in the basket as you leave today, that'll be fabulous.
I know that we're not doing group singing, but you know what you can do? You can hum this under your breath. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
So in closing, usually we do some group songs, and we usually do group reading. And if you have a program, on the back of the program, I have printed our group reading because it's something that we have been reading together every single week since we were founded back in 1989. And so I was like, wait, I can't cut that. So I think you probably have known it by heart if you've been here a few times. But if you want to join and quietly read along with me, I want to read it before I do the closing treatment. God is all, both visible and invisible, one presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect life, perfect love, and perfect abundance. So in closing, what I'd like you to do is just, please, bring into your mind a few people that you're thinking about, that you want to surround with a feeling of love right now. In particular, I'd like to bring into our minds Norm Trout, who is getting a little visit to the emergency room right now, but we know that he will be perfectly fine. And anyone else who comes to your mind that you may have a concern about, please hold them in your thoughts and know that love is here and love is with them now. As we know together that there is a power for good, a power for good that is so magnificent that all things are possible with it, through it, and as it. That each one of us is made of the very substance of this thing itself, because there is nothing else. We are made of the substance of spirit. Each of us is a beautiful child of spirit, since this is true, perfect, whole, and complete. And our parent, this spirit, is love everlasting. Knowing this is so, I claim on behalf of each and every person here, on behalf of myself, on behalf of every person who is in our hearts and minds right now, and of course, on behalf of this world which we so love, I claim that there is good unfolding in wonderful ways. It's as if we were walking by the beautiful ocean under a cloudy sky, and the clouds had disappeared. The wind had blown them away, just like the winds of sorrow, the winds of fear, the winds of worry, blowing all these clouds away and leaving our minds and our hearts clear in the knowledge that there is good for us and that we are able to accept it wholeheartedly, without reservation, on behalf of ourselves right now, on behalf of those we love right now, on behalf of everyone related to this center in any way, anywhere in the world, right now, and on behalf of this world itself. There is good, and this good is unfolding as health, wonderful health, as wealth, prosperity, abundance, and good. There is enough. As creativity, as intelligence, as wisdom, as friendship, as fellowship, as loving relationships. It is unfolding, and we are surrounded by love, and that love begets joy. Joy is our birthright. Joy is unfolding. This is the truth. I know it's so, and Spirit allows it to be so. All we have to do, all I have to do is turn these words over to Spirit, believing, giving thanks, and it is already done. I let go. I let God take care of it all. I am so grateful. And I invite you to join with me in saying in closing. And so it is. Thank you, everyone. It's great. And if you want to walk over and say hello to our friends on Facebook, feel free. Because I think Reverend Ahmondra will leave it on for a minute. We're not going to close with a standing scene today. Odey's just going to play a little music, and we're just going to get a chance to chat. I know, it feels like there we go.
Have a wonderful week. Blessings to you.